Hey everybody, Alex from SCADA here. Now that we have our mockups done, we can start our development on our views. So first, we'll dive into the perspective station view. This will then give us a foundation to use for our overview and our pop-up view. So we're here in the ignition design challenge. We see we need to use a single parameter to make this a dynamic view. The components must grow or shrink with changing screen sizes, and we added all of these fields to our mockup here. So we'll go to our designer and hide our red line. So here's our mockup of our station view. The first thing we need to do is add a view parameter. So we'll click on the view in the project browser, go to params and add a view parameter. This will be a value and we'll call it brew station. And we'll just give it a value of 1 for now so we can populate our station 1 tags as an example of what we're looking at. So first we have our header up here at the top. That gives us a text display of what station we're looking at. So to change this, we can just go to add a binding to our text property, and we'll make that an expression binding because we're going to combine text with our view parameter for brew station number. So we'll put station plus, and then we will map to our brew station parameter and hit OK. And we'll see that that now says station 1. So we'll hit OK there, and we're good to go on our header. Maybe we'll throw an underline on there. Go down to text options, decoration. We'll click underline and hit OK. So that gives us our header up here, which meets the first requirement here. Now we want to know the brew type that's being brewed at this station. So we will go into our type and temp flex container. We'll go to our brew type label, and we will add another expression binding. We'll put brew type with a colon and a space. Now we want to map to a tag. So let's start with the tag path. We'll just pull station 1 brew type. That brings this across with curly braces. To fix this and make this dynamic, we want to add that to our string. And we want to wrap this in a tag function and pass in our path. And then where we have the number 1 here, we will add our view parameter to get our brew station number there. And that will currently bring across 0, which is our tag value there. And we will do the same thing for water temp. Go to our binding, do an expression binding, and pull our tag path across. And you can also copy and paste the tag path if you want to. We will wrap this in a tag function and replace our station number with our view parameter. And that's given us a lot of decimal places. So we will also wrap this in a round function to 2 decimal places. And let's assume that that's in Fahrenheit. We can also add the units. of F. And then we have our image that's displayed. We're not actually doing anything dynamic with that. So that covers our brew type and water temperature, and the image of some kind down here at the bottom. Next, we want a way to display and control the station status, which we have here with our multi-state button here. In the mockups video, we noticed on the overview screen this was pretty big. So let's change this to a row type. And we can change our basis here. Let's make this 120. Let's make that 200 pixels wide, just so we have some space there. And then we can shrink this overall flex container down a little bit. And that'll give us more room to play with on the overview screen. So let's see what our statuses are. So if we go to the connections and tags page that lays out everything we're looking at, this gives us 0 is off, 1 is brew, and 2 is clean. So we can come to our button. We can go to our states. Currently we have hand off auto, so 0 will be off. That is a value of 0. Brew is a value of 1. Put that in the middle. And clean is a value of 2. And let's change our selected style. We'll make this background color red for off. We will make the background color a green for brew. And since it's an alarm state, let's make it yellow for clean. And our status is currently 0. Which we see here. And we need to actually bind that to the button before it will change. So we will go to our control value, add a binding. Since we're not updating the text here, we'll use an indirect expression. We will pull in our tag path for status. And we'll replace the number in our tag path with our view parameter using the indirect binding syntax here. Hit OK, enter, and now our status is 0. And then as we showed in our components video, we will simply bind our indicator value to our control value property, and that value should match. So now if we were to change status to 1, we're in brew mode. If we change status to 2, we go to clean, and we'll change it back to 0 for off. Now so that gives us a way to display and control the station status. Now we want a text equivalent of the numerical status. So we can come to our status text. We will give this a binding. We can do a tag binding indirect the same way we did on the button. Tags, Rio Oso, Station 1, status. Okay. We'll replace that station number with our brew station property. Or parameter. Press enter. And now we're reading our integer value. Next, we can do an add transform. And we can do any of these options, really. We'll do a map transform to keep things a little simpler. So this will take our value. Currently we're mapped to null. We'll take our fallback to be error. Then we will add a 0 for off, a 1 for brew, and a 2 for cleaning. If we used a script or an expression transform, we could accomplish the same thing using some if statements or a switch statement, but this will map our input value of 0, 1, or 2 to a text value of off, brew, or cleaning. So we're currently off. You could probably make the argument that the text field is also handled on the button up here. For the sake of completeness, we'll have a separate field there. That if this was the core certification test, that could be something that is set to must fix to pass if you don't have that, but we will put that there. Then the last piece of the puzzle, because we already have the image up there, so we've covered all of these, is a details button that will allow the user to open the pop-up screen. And we have a details button here. And we also have this spacer that we added. We'll just delete that since that gives us a pretty big gap between there. And as we showed separately in the mockups video, we'll just give this a smaller top margin so that we have a little space between the status text and our details button. And we'll rename this X details. We will expand that and we will select our details button here. We want this to navigate to the pop-up. So we will, to map a pop-up view to this button, we will go Control J to enter our events configuration. We will select on action performed, and we will select the pop-up action. Then we want to open the pop-up. We will select pop-up view. And I don't believe, oh, we did add the brew station parameter in the mockups video. So we will click the plus over here to add our parameter on that view. And we will set its value to be view params brew station. OK and enter. And we can do station view params brew station for the title of the pop-up. We'll give it a close button, make it draggable, resizable. We'll leave modal off because that would take all of the user interaction and basically hide everything on the view behind the pop-up. And we will leave everything else the same, and we will hit OK. And let's make this flex container smaller for our overview page. And we can make it a little skinnier here. And that is our station view complete. Thank you for watching.